Hello, everybody, and welcome to this special edition of Eurocast. Definitely good to have you here. What happened last week is that we had elections. Because of the law here in Poland, I couldn't talk about it much, with my opinions, but now I can. So now we will. And that's basically the current story. We want to analyze what the hell happened here. I mean, some starting words from our co-host, because today we have Anastasius, Peter, me, and the birthday boy, Snore. Come on, guys. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Snore. Happy birthday to you. Let's just do it quickly because all the people will just, disconnect. Our singing.
And that was more cringe than like with the little song that Olaf got. Olaf Scholz's birthday is today as well, I believe. And at the G7, they sang to him. And that was this level. You know what I mean?
We can mention that because it just happened. So Olaf Scholz tells that we shouldn't worry because Biden will surely win, and now I'm fucking worried.
Yeah. What a week it's been, man. Oh my God.
Lots of things in politics. So
the elections were a big part of everything.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, maybe. We all know that we want to talk about ID and how they did. They lost some seats, but I fear they gained influence, legitimacy.
I mean, it kind of depends. I mean, I think the big news of the whole week was how Macron dealt with the win of Le Pen.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I mean, he just, people say, oh my God, he panicked and this and that. No, I think this has been planned for months, man. He knew this was coming, right? He is such a savvy political operator. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Anastasius, but in France, Macron is not very well liked, right?
No, I mean, it doesn't take a Frenchman to even notice this, I think. So, yeah.
I mean, that's surprising to me, really. I mean, not really surprising because in France, you have kind of an adversarial relationship with the presidency anyway, right? I mean, if the approval level is like 30%, that already says people already like him, right?
Yeah.
But in Macron's case, it's going lower and lower now, isn't it?
I will also say that in France, usually people like Macron or like presidents are not well liked once they are in office. So I would say this is the usual French thing.
Yeah, yes. I don't know. I mean, with the elections, I mean, Anastasius, can you tell us? I mean, you're like the man on the street, right?
Yeah.
For us, what do you hear? I mean, from people around you and stuff like that.
Oh well, first of all, you have got to mention, like you said, that Macron is not well liked at all. It's mainly due to a bunch of factors, where it comes from his background, his policies. Or whatever else reason that I cannot mention right now. But the word on the street is that a lot of people are, quote unquote, jubilating because they don't really like Macron. I couldn't exactly tell you what the general consensus would be in case of the vote that will come to take place. But the mood is hard to read for the vote.
Yeah. I mean, the center has basically kind of exploded now, hasn't it? You've got the left coalition, which managed to kind of cobble something together now, right? So that's something stable to vote for. And of course, you've got Le Pen and her
party,
her party, the RN. So I mean, and what happened this week with the what you call it, oh God, I forget the name of the party.
The party, Macron's party, you mean?
No. The centre right one, Chirac's old party.
European ECR, European Conservatives Reformists. I know what you mean. This is a Polish accent in here, by the way, because Law and Justice, so the ex-government here, really are very high in the structures there.
Yeah.
Like, they actually have this thing by the balls, which is pretty scary to me. This wasn't the case several years ago. Now peace has a very large influence. I mean, peace did lose definitely some seats this time around.
Yeah.
However, I wouldn't necessarily say they lost, because their influence is just so massive.
Yeah, exactly. You know, in Poland it was half and half. In the Netherlands as well, I must say. You know, I mean, the Social Democrats in the Netherlands also got quite good showing. You know, they've got I think it's 8 seats, and the PVV, who by all accounts had the largest party during our elections last year, finished second there. You know, with 6 seats to the European Parliament. It's
Another
kind of
thing.
weird because the Netherlands has a lot of seats. You know, so you know, compared to, for example, Poland or I mean, France and Germany are obviously the big ones, right, in the European Parliament. But so you know, I mean, you've got the French RN now, which has, you know, is going to get a big presence in the European Parliament. You got the Polish Peace Party. Oh, I just can't say that without.
No, you can say it. Don't worry.
Piss party is appropriate.
Yeah, it's very appropriate name.
Right? Still, you know, I want to be respectful. You know, I mean, these are, you know, they're I don't want to.
They did choose it. Kind of, you know, they could choose something else. Yeah. I'm very sorry.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, in Italy as well, the Social Democrats didn't do that badly, and you can, I mean, overall, the identity, the ID group, and the non-aligned groups in the European Parliament grew, but they didn't grow by that much actually. You know, the result still kind of the coalition, which you know, with Renew Europe, the European People's Party, and the Social Democrats in the European Parliament, is still a viable one, right? They can still continue with that. So it's not like in all countries everyone went, oh, far right, great, you know.
Something else that you should mention is that the far right in every country is not exactly the same. Like, they don't share the exact same political goals and policies. So the far right in one country doesn't necessarily
yeah, the only thing that connects them is their views, but basically they're opposed to each other by definition, since they're nationalists.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, you know, something that there are a number of wedge issues. You know, for example, Hungary is very pro quote unquote peace in Ukraine, whereas the PIS party, you know, definitely not. Right? They want to give more weapons to Ukraine, whatever it takes.
Yeah. That's definitely, you know, abstaining for them.
You know,
That's also why, for this part, I'm kind of glad that they have ECR by the balls, because now I know that ECR will for sure support every move to help Ukraine.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I think, you know, the problem is, you know, I mean, when it comes to the European Parliament, it doesn't really have that much power over things that happen nationally, right? It's
by the way,
the Commission.
This started with the previous government, but continues under the current one. We basically have this strategy called Shield East. Shield East is basically a line in Belarus and Russia, where you will have lots of HIMARS, you will have lots of artillery on standby, ready to fire, you will have lots of missiles prepared and ready to fly, and, you know, in case anything breaks out, all the hell breaks loose, and they will be just, you know, living with rockets over their head for like a month.
I mean, when it comes to the EU, right? I mean, there's only 2 or 3 states that you really have to worry about when it comes to that they support Russia inordinately, you know, and that's Hungary and Austria, basically. Those are the.
Funny thing is that if Hungary got their way, they would actually border Russia, and then they wouldn't like it that much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. They wouldn't have anyone to hide behind then.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, I mean, Orban is a very, very clever political operator, to be honest, But I don't think even he can cobble together some kind of coalition in the European Parliament that would threaten anything that the mainstream parties basically want, right? So, I mean, the far right did well, but because of their splintering, there's not going to be any coherency in it. I mean, I think that's kind of hopeful, to be honest. We had a good election, and it was shown that the center still holds, as it were.
Yeah, we definitely the center had a great run this election cycle. I would say they definitely blew past all my expectations. You know, peace did lose here, like
Yeah.
legitimately. Lots of their voters didn't turn up for some reason, which is a
Yeah.
first, I would say.
Well,
And I don't know
mean,
why. Maybe they're disillusioned or something.
Maybe
No, I mean,
they're too old,
it's,
maybe.
yeah, no, I don't think that's maybe it. I mean, I can speak for the Netherlands and maybe Germany in this. Germany had quite a high turnout, right? It's very hard to connect European politics to national politics and to your own life, basically, right? The things that Europe does are more kind of cross-border, those kind of things. And I think so the European Union doesn't really matter to a lot of people, right? And you can see that basically across the board. I mean, I've got a voter turnout.
Yeah, and I
Map in
think
front of
that's
me.
also what did
Yeah.
handicap peace because they were, complaining about the EU, hating on the EU all the time. So why the hell their voters should even care?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that hurt them very much, the far right. I mean, if
Definitely.
the voter turnout was high, then you would see a better result, as it has happened in Germany, basically.
Yeah, because they tried
Lots of
to
people.
paint the EU as something that legitimately doesn't do anything and can do anything, and at the same time as a threat.
Yeah, exactly. The old. I think that's definitely something that the far right does. a lot.
Yeah, that's the far right playbook. Demonize your
Yeah.
opponent, but at the same
mean,
time say
yeah.
he's subhuman.
Yeah, I mean, but looking at this map here, right? So the highest states with the most voter turnout were Belgium first, and then Luxembourg with 89.82 and 82 point something percent. So they're in the 80s, but they have mandatory voting, right? You have to show up, or otherwise you get a fine, right?
Something else that you should mention, Snore, is that you said that Belgium had the highest turnout. Is that right?
Yeah.
I believe that while we had a lot of far right coming out relatively to the previous year elections, there has been a lot of new actors showing up as well on the
Okay,
scene.
yeah.
I mean, the guy
And of
from
course, I mean-
Denmark, he did show up, but I don't think he should. To be honest with you.
Oh, you mean yeah, because
Yeah, I think he
the
hurt
Danish
his
far
case
right
more
area.
than anything.
Yeah. I think I don't know. I mean, I saw the first debate with him in it, right? The first debate on the election, and he didn't do too bad. I mean, he did, of course, say the typical far right stuff, but he did bring it in a way that was more understandable, kind of to the center, and how dangerous that is. He did do a reasonable performance there, I think. But I didn't follow the rest of the other debates. But what I do know is, I mean, in Belgium, right? The national election was at the same time as the European Parliament election, so that kind of also drove people, of course. If you're going to vote for someone, you're going to vote for parties, the same party in both, basically,
Yep.
right?
I
And I
mean,
think
lots of
kind of
people
reflected
don't
it.
actually search for it. Like, they just don't think it's relevant to vote for somebody else if you want a different strategy for European politics.
Exactly.
And it's valid. It's very valid. Like, in these elections, I didn't vote for the party that I did vote in the national elections. I did actually vote for, a dark horse let's say.
Yeah.
The third way, Trzecia Droga, which is led by Hołownia, because he had Ryszard Petru on his list here, and Ryszard Petru is like an economist. He was an advisor during the economic transformation in Poland. So yeah, like I want him in the European Parliament.
Exactly. He knows where the money is, man. That's the kind of people you want.
Yeah, exactly.
I was kind of vacillating between three parties. I mean, three groups in Parliament, which was Renew Europe, because I believe in the strong business and.
I would vote for Renew Europe if there was a party representing them. To be honest, like I agree 100%.
Yeah, exactly. The second one was the Social Democrats, because they were ahead of the far right, and that was,
seeing Social Democrats talk about expanding military. Damn.
Yeah. Nice, isn't it?
yeah. Like I like it very much.
Yeah.
I mean, but the party I voted for in the end was Volt, because they had the chance of getting a lady into Parliament, a Dutch lady, who was. We had one national debate here, and she was really, really, really good. And I thought to myself, you know what, she needs to get in.
People from Volt are usually so good and so prepared, because they are just reasonable people. Like. By the way, the running joke here for you guys, if you don't know, is that everybody here is a member of Volt.
Yeah.
like you will meet more members of Volt here on our server than on Volt's server. So
yeah, probably. Absolutely. To be honest,
ours is also more active.
Yeah, true.
That is true. Since you mentioned Volt, I saw that there was how many seats did they get? 5, I believe.
5, yeah. They got 5 in total. 2 Dutch ones, I think. 2 German ones, and 1 from I can't remember.
They could have had more.
Oh yeah. I mean, the thing is, right? When you're a new party, it's very, very hard to get into.
To the mainstream. Even if you get elected the first time around, you're not treated as somebody that's certain that will be here.
Yeah, for a longer time, exactly.
Once you win 2 election cycles, and you're still in the parliament, then it starts building up. Then people treat you with respect and think you will be around for the next cycle.
Yeah, you have to do it locally as well as pan-European. Then, and I think that is the difficulty which Volt really has. How do you connect those two? You can say, we're a European party, but what does that really mean to the national politics? And I think in the countries like the Netherlands, where Volt still, I think they still have 2 seats in Parliament now. That shows that they can also handle something in the parliamentary thing. But they'll have to show that in every European country, basically, because that Volt has 2 seats in the Dutch Parliament. That means nothing to a Frenchman.
I think the most logical thing for Volt, as it comes to expansion, is basically absorbing some national parties. Like some national party that just aligns with those values that will be, involved. However, they will still have their name and their identity. They will just use the Volt thing for European Parliament or something. I think that's a legitimate route of expansion here.
Yeah, because when Volt is a pan-national and even pan-European party, so if they have to do national courting of the audience, it has to be a case-by-case basis. So.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Volt is that they what they want to do is they want to have one party program across the whole EU, which is a noble goal, but you can't translate that really
ambitious
into local stuff.
That's very ambitious.
Yeah.
That's why I like it, but at the same time, it could be a pipe dream to have everything perfect.
Yeah.
There will be some trade-offs.
Yeah. And I think what you said, that they're like kind of leeching off the existing parties, of course. I think that's really true. I mean, especially in the Netherlands, we see that. There's the D66 party, which is neoliberal European, pro-European party. They've been doing quite badly in the polls. And you see this reflected in the European Parliament elections as well. Renew Europe did really badly; they lost 22 seats. Um, but those people that are disillusioned with national politics will flee during the European election to a party which has a similar worldview, as it were. Pro-European, very much for treaty changes, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Where are you going to
I
go?
think
Right?
that legitimately this is what will happen, like during some years. Some mainstream politicians will drop off of a large party, they will start their own, and they will fly Volt's banner.
You mean like Draghi, something like that?
That would be
Possibly?
nice.
Yeah, like something.
I mean, Draghi is, it's very hard to kind of predict this. I mean, the MEPs have now kind of been selected. We know who they are, right? So, it's up to Volt to kind of, use that initiative in the next 4 to 5 years to push their agenda as hard as they can, and then attract more and more kind of, clout in the different countries. So, I mean, we saw, for example, in Germany that the Volt also was suddenly in the polls, and there was a study done by someone, a study I read that basically said, I mean, the reason that people voted for Volt in Germany was a large part because it was suddenly in the polls, and they just wanted an alternative. And I think, I mean, when you look at the far right and stuff like that, they have a similar dynamic as well, People vote for RN because...
And they always fight with each other.
Yeah, exactly.
I swear, there's more drama during a single day in a conservative party than there is during a month in, like, center liberal party.
Yeah. I mean,
the whole, gangbang situation in Hungary, for example.
Weekends, right?
Oh, yeah, this. That is a special case. That is a particular case, indeed.
Yeah, like, definitely the conservative parties are more bunga than regular ones. At least people that are in there, from what we see.
Yeah, and it's all about vested interests as well, And, I mean, we'll see it probably in the next 4 years. Is that the center will hold, and the far right will splinter and splinter and splinter. We'll probably see, some far right parties just...
They're like single-celled organisms. They, increase their numbers by division.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy, actually.
Yeah, but for example, you have a far-right party called Forum for Democracy here in the Netherlands. They had 4 seats in the European Parliament last time, which was a great result, for a very far-right party. This election cycle 0. Right?
I remember a funny situation when a far-right party did say, that, hey, racism is bad. Like, we are far-right, but we don't support racism. And their polls just dropped. Which is always so funny when it happens, but it always happens. It always has to happen.
Gosh, terrible. Yeah.
Because, you have these guys, they're intelligent, they're educated, they're kind of above that thing, but their voters aren't.
Yeah. I mean, to me, an election, the far right exceeds an expected amount when it's over 20%, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the old 80-20 rule. 80% of people are decent. It's the 20% you have to watch out for. Right?
Speaking of, Confederacja in Poland did get 10%, which is ID affiliated. And this is a great result for them. This is quite scary, actually. Because, like, 10%, that's something.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that,
Exactly. I
honestly.
mean, it gives them legitimacy in parliament, and that's the dangerous thing, and that's something that they exploit.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you see this with
Double digit
and you see
results.
this all
So
over Europe. You see this with Fox in Spain. You see it with Maloney I mean, Maloney's a little bit of a special case, right? Because the Italian far right isn't the same as all the rest of the far rights. There's different things going on there. It's very Italian,
Yeah.
right? But in most of the countries, I must say, when they get legitimacy in parliament, that is when it becomes too dangerous. And I think Germany's been talking about, for example, banning the AfD for a very long time. I think they should get on with it and get it over with.
we have a poll exit party, which I was very surprised with on the ballot. Yeah, they bombed. I mean, if you want to create a poll exit party in Poland, just don't. Here, even the right wingers are pro EU in
I have
some
to say,
space.
right, I mean, Anastasius and Martin and Peter, we all have to thank the United Kingdom for shooting itself in the face on behalf.
Yeah, taking one for the team, honestly. At this point.
Thank you, guys.
This experiment wouldn't be possible to verify without it, so thank you.
I mean, before 2016, I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was, people, the far right were ascendant, right? Everyone was talking about, what the hell do we need the EU for,
Yeah,
and
like we will be so much better. We'll have so much trade deals, with bilateral trade deals, like Trump, like only bilateral trade deals, no groups, no blocks. And I think, then they realize it's a very slow process.
And I think, I don't think there's any major party in the European Union now. I mean, major, right? We're talking about over 5%. That actively advocates for leaving the EU, right? With maybe the exception of the AfD, but they're freaking crazy anyway, right? They're completely taken over by Russia, China, and
the sad thing is that UK just confirmed what we already knew.
Yeah.
And they want to try again.
Yeah.
Guys, just don't. We did this. It sucks.
Yeah. I saw the statistics this week that 25% of the UK citizens think that they should remain outside of the EU at the moment. So even they are like, oh my God, man, it's really cold out
I've
here,
also
man.
read that, from the time of the vote for leaving the EU, like 20% of those that voted leave already died.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That happens if you have old people voting for shit they don't understand.
I mean,
bring back the good old days.
Does come back to kind of, this does kind of come back to something that does worry me a little bit, which is the demographic decline of Europe. As our populations are getting older, they're getting more conservative as well, and you can tell that. You can see that from the statistics, for example, in the Dutch election.
The funny thing is that after peace rule for so long, I actually see that Poland is liberalizing. The worldview. People are way more accepting. When it comes to, for example, Ukrainian refugees, sure, we have some bad apples. Like, there was a guy that basically did drive his BMW in traffic here in Wrocław. It was just playing for him. Very dangerous. And the whole time, an unmarked police vehicle was following him, and they were just taking notes of what the hell he was doing. And once he hit the threshold to, revoke his license, they just, turn on the lights.
They just captured him.
Yeah. And please drive, after us. We will drive to the police parking. The vehicle will stay here.
Yeah, but the thing is, right? I mean, I think Poland knows. Just like everyone else in Europe who lives next to Ukraine, Belarus, or Russia, or in Greece's case, Turkey, right? They know on which side of their, on which side they have to be when shit breaks out. Right? It's on the side of people with lots of money, right, and lots of weapons.
Yep.
And I think that really kind of put, I mean, four big crises which we've had are Brexit, Trump, COVID, and the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Right?
Yeah,
Those are
and
the,
for,
the big
I
crises.
think for Russian invasion of Ukraine, oh my God, I always talk about military, don't I? So, yeah, for
Always.
that, like, I think we need a pan-EU plan to strengthen our militaries. Like, I think this needs to be funded by the EU for lots of countries. Poland can afford its modernization. By the way, we paid in cash for all of it. Just saying.
Yeah, well, I've seen the statistics. I think 5% of GDP went to military last year, so it's significant amounts of money being thrown around. But I
And
think the
they
thing is
plan
that,
to, keep it at 4% or something like that for foreseeable future. So we will basically have the most advanced weapons in Europe.
Yeah, but I mean, we're lucky,
Conventional.
right? Because basically Ursula von der Leyen won the election, right? I mean, the European People's Party. It's not completely sure that she'll be the next Commission president yet, but we kind of know that she will be because she was the one with the face.
Sikorski will be the defense commissioner, probably, as well, from Poland. By the way, great guy. I really love him. I really love reading stuff that he wrote, and, his wife. His wife is Anne Applebaum, and she works from New York Times, I think.
Right. Yeah. I follow her on Twitter. She's really good.
Yeah. They're a multinational couple. Like, they have a house in the US, which they live for, like, half of the year or something. Then they have some houses in Europe, etc. They're really a power couple.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And that really, I mean, you need to have that, to be able to function in foreign policy. But yeah, like you said, we'll probably have a defense commissioner. And that's going to be really interesting, right?
And if he's Sikorski from Poland, I can assure you that definitely something like that, a whole EU plan to strengthen our eastern flank and finance it, definitely this will come in discussions a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, what the defense commissioner will mainly be doing, most likely. I mean, this is something that I've discussed with people on the server before. Is you've got the High Representative for Policy of the European Union, right? He is basically the person who's got the battle groups, who's got the diplomatic
ties. Like, he knows.
Yeah. He's the head of the diplomatic part of the European Union. But
Sikorski is definitely your man for that.
Yeah. No. I mean, the thing is that that position has traditionally always been by a social democrat, or someone from the social democrat.
Times are changing.
European Parliament. So we'll see, but we're going to get a new defense commissioner now as well. And what they're probably going to be doing is being responsible for certain things like the European Peace Facility, which is the very funnily named weapons program that the European Union already has.
I love that they name it that way, because really,
I know, right?
It is how it is. If you have the weapons ready to fire, there's way less chance than somebody will try to, do something.
There will be peace. There will be peace one way or the other, right?
Exactly.
That's
So,
how the European
like...
Union functions. It's a peace project, guys, really.
It is.
But
I mean, we want to be peaceful. We don't want to use it. We just have that.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, right? I mean, the defense commissioner will also be responsible for the industrial part of the portfolio.
That's also where Poland goes in, and I can say that we are doing very good on this front, because we'll be manufacturing the Korean tanks, for example, here in Poland. You will be able to buy those Korean tanks as an EU country from Poland.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is something that we do still have a problem with in Europe, is that we have too many types of weapon systems, though. But I know, for example, Finland and Poland, like you said, Romania as well. Frontline states
By the way, Finland has this great vehicle that we actually bought. This is Patria Alt ATV, something like that.
Yeah.
Basically, it drives on any terrain, mud, forest. This is
Oh,
designed
nice.
for it,
Yeah.
because Finland. So we both the rights for it because we have exactly the same situation here, and we
The ideal
manufacture it
scenario-
here and we sell it.
Yeah, like you said, Martin, the ideal scenario in the case that we have here, which is that we have too many top-tier weapon system, would be for me that every pole of the EU, whether it be the Baltics, the Nordics, or for example the Balkans, would be able to have a coalition of countries in these areas that would be able to pull together their military to be able to handle that specific area. For example, recently, the Nordics country, which were basically Finland, Sweden, and someone else, I believe, pulled together their air force to make a common air force, I believe. And
I would say that the types of the systems you have don't matter as much. Look at the US, how many planes they operate. They operate F-15s, F-16s, F-35s, F-22s. And this is just, the fighters, right?
Yeah.
So how they do it is that they have convergence of sensors, they have connectivity, they can connect to other things, which, by the way, this is also what we have, for example, with our artillery systems, which are wheeled. So the idea is that, and Ukrainians love it, by the way, you just enter the data where you need a gun to shoot at in your laptop, coordinates everything. A guy that's actually, basically in that vehicle, he has AC, he has a microwave, he has a fridge.
Yeah.
And he just,
exactly.
drives to a place, presses a button, loads the shell, it fires automatically, then he drives off.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the whole kill chain, basically, that the Ukrainians are using, with basically our weapons, shows that there's so many weapon systems, but it is possible to use all those weapon systems reasonably effectively. You can train people in different things. The only problem that Europe really has is that we've got so many different systems that it becomes a specialization. And that means that if you take out a part of a logistics chain that leads to for example a certain type of shell for a certain type of vehicle,
then you have issues.
Then you've got a problem. Then you've got issues, and this is something that they're trying to kind of work on with PESCO, which is the European Common Development Weapons Development Program. But that's slow, right?
That's
because
also kind of why we have the TNT.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the hidden purpose as well. So our army logistics have multiple options always.
Yeah, the TNT would be the crown jewel of all of this.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget that in the past year, we've finally managed to make something called the military European passport, which is so that if you want to ship weapons from the south of France to the front lines in Romania or Poland, right? You don't have to get a stamp from the Germans, right, to be able to go through their country with your military equipment.
That's very good.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially since we are at peace. Like, nobody's going to invade another country here. It's counterproductive. Our economic situation would worsen.
We're an alliance, The European Union is not only, an alliance of countries, but it's also a military alliance, right? We have basically our own little NATO.
Exactly.
And, Article 42 of the European Treaty, if anyone's interested, it contains all that information about that. And these kind of logistics issues, aren't the only ones. There's hundreds out there that still have to be solved. And I think having a European defense commissioner will streamline the process of being able to, capture or deal
Like
with these.
I think the largest issue with logistics we have is the backlog of weapons that still need to be manufactured. Like we have lots of shells on the backlog, and the capacity isn't spooling up as fast as we would want to.
True.
Poland is doing pretty okay. We have an upper edge because, by the way, when it comes to American JDAMs, we manufacture the bombs for them. We are only one of the 2 plants in the world that do that.
Nice. So you've got a nice supply. But I know for a fact, Denmark, Romania, Finland, the Netherlands, we're all opening new manufacturing plants. It just takes a longer time than expected. When it comes to creating factories and creating a whole ecosystem for them, a logistical ecosystem.
Man, I hope that
it's
Intel...
a very, very integrated process, so it takes a longer time than expected. It's like building a railway. It never comes on time, and it's never within budget, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And by the way, so for... oh my God, what was I supposed to talk about? Never mind.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I know. When it comes to, for example, Intel, I think it's an indication of something that Intel wants to create a fab, and they want to create it near me, near Wrocław in Poland. That shows that they do believe Poland is well defended. They don't want to lose their, $1 billion investment because of war.
Yeah, exactly.
And with that, we will be able to manufacture our own chips in Europe from all the steps, which is very important for our weapons development, actually.
Yeah, and to be honest, having ASML only 2 countries away helps.
Yeah, that also helps.
By the way, good news: ASML has gotten the go-ahead from the Dutch government to expand to twice its size. So.
Very
also
good
news on that side of the IT spectrum, as it were. But coming back to kind of how the European Parliament kind of factors into this, I think we have the European Chips Act, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of together with Taiwan is now starting to set up different fabs here. Intel's doing it. We'll get AMD probably as well.
AMD doesn't have a fab. Global Foundries has. Not anymore.
Sorry, Global Foundries. Yeah, exactly.
By the way, Global Foundries is a very curious case. The curious case here is that they don't do leading edge processes anymore. They focus on stuff like 32 nanometers because there are lots of chips that just don't benefit with a smaller node, really.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is how far do you have to miniaturize, really, right? that's really the thing.
Exactly, like like analog RF processing stuff. That's done on chip, and you don't really scale well. Like it still needs to be that size because it uses physical properties of that radio wave to actually decode it and everything. So.
And I mean, and what we're doing at the moment, right, is it's just importing it from China, right? That's basically it. And having that capacity, I mean, this kind of comes back to another story which was on this week, which was about Norway discovering a massive slice of rare earth minerals again, right?
Great. So, there was this meme about the US superiority, like. We need a new resource for development. A random farmer somewhere finds tons of it just sitting there.
Yeah, exactly. That happens in Europe too, but it always happens in Norway. It never happens in all of the other countries. It doesn't matter,
Gas,
right?
Norway, all Norway, everything Norway. Man, we are so resource poor, but with Norway.
Yeah, but who's not in the EU? Norway. Shit, But maybe we can entice them somehow someday. You know what I mean? They got a nice, cozy deal with us now, so that's nice.
Maybe one day we'll even get Switzerland. Hey.
Oh,
I don't think so. I don't think that's realistic. Switzerland is very integrated in the EU right now. I just don't see the benefit.
Yeah, I think in the case of Switzerland, it's going to be harder because they're already so integrated. But Norway might be a good candidate at some point.
Absolutely. I think that
but
Norway will
that's for the far
integrate
future.
further, the same as Sweden and Finland, joining NATO, like the same effect. Definitely, I will see that Norway will integrate further into the EU just because they see that's their best market right now. Like they can sell a really expensive gas to us and we'll just buy it. Because we want to have that option, locally. By the way, I also heard that Groningen gas field is basically still in operation. It was supposed to be shut down because of the ground, basically falling down.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, the
You're cutting out very hard.
Exploited is still valid. I think the contract is very valid, right? I mean, it's valid for a longer time. The contract in Groningen when it comes to the gas fields, and the thing kind of which keeps it that's the thing that kind of keeps it operational. But they have scaled it down basically. I mean, the earthquakes have basically stopped, so that's nice, But I mean, when it comes to the exploitation of the Norwegian, they don't really have a reason to join the EU yet because they've got a sweet deal right now. Right, they're in the single market. They're in the European Free Trade Association as a founding member. So they don't really, they follow the EU rules. And they don't get a say, but they do have say in different parts of their economy.
This is like the Switzerland case because, like, for Switzerland, I always think like they are practically in the EU as well.
Exactly.
Like you can say with that integration level, definitely they are pretty much in the EU right now.
Yeah, I mean the only thing that I can see that pushes a state like that into the arms of the EU would be a massive economic crisis, really. Because I mean you see that in Sweden as well. As soon as the economy goes bad and their local currency plummets, right, compared to the stability of the euro, that's when people go, maybe the euro isn't a bad idea, right?
And that's also why Poland didn't switch to euro, honestly.
Exactly, yeah. Poland as well. I mean, every time that the economy really, when the zloty, plummets, right, because the economy, the global economy is shit. That's when people go, maybe that euro isn't too bad, actually. And you see the polls kind of rise a little bit more, right? But it would take a really, really big change. It would take the change of the status quo to do that. So I don't think it's really feasible.
When it comes to Polish zloty, there was a huge spike in, zloty to euro exchange rate. That means zloty did appreciate in 2023. Then it was down, and now it appreciated to pretty much almost the historical high from 5 years.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And now everyone, is okay, with the zloty staying. Right, because it's nice. It's a strong coin.
By the way, our best year ever was 2008. I remember I bought $1 for 2 zlotys 50, and €1 for 3 zloty. This was the best exchange rate ever.
Listening, don't start trading in forex straight away. Okay, it's a bad idea, right?
yeah, don't do it. It's very unpredictable, honestly. But
unpredictable and massively addictive, right?
I remember that we were joking in 2008 that Poland is a country where even economic crisis didn't work out.
Yeah. True.
Everyone was laughing, and by the way, we gained, our growth rate was 5.6% that year, something pretty crazy.
Yeah, exactly. But to be honest, right, you were still catching up to the rest of us.
Yeah, we weren't that connected.
The West.
We weren't that
Yeah,
connected
yeah,
to the West. That's why it didn't affect us, because our
yeah.
banking sector is just completely nationally owned, almost.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas we had the U.S. Up our ass, man. To put it euphemistically, right? Um,
Exactly.
but I mean, but that was the big recession, right? That was the point at which the modern day status quo was reset.
Oh, you mean the
But since
2008
then,
economic miracle in Poland?
yeah, exactly. That basically did a lot of damage in Europe.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
since then,
US is still picking up from that. Like,
yeah, and
didn't
so is
get better.
Britain as well. Of course, I mean Brexit didn't help, right? They could have kind of climbed out from it by now, but you can still see the effects in society. People still talk about it over there.
You know, like yesterday, I met a lot from Ireland because I was just out on the city. So we talked a little, and he was like, "Oh my God, this country is so developed. Like, here it's better than in the UK." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, because we are on target to be, richer average Pole than an average Brit, and pretty soon, people
By
are returning
2030
from UK."
specifically.
Yeah, but the funny thing is that Polish people did go to the UK to earn more. Now they're returning for the exact same reason.
Exactly.
That is really funny because I remember one of the big reasons from Brexit. One of the big talking points was that the Poles are coming to take our jobs, something like that. Like, yeah. And now after Brexit, they're literally leaving for better jobs. Like,
Yeah, and
exactly.
now
I mean,
now the Polish doctors that did go to the UK to heal people, now they are returning to Poland because they have better work conditions and a good wage. If they're in private sector, they can earn more than in NHS, which usually they did go to the NHS. So why
and
the hell
that's
stay there?
that's the brain drain. The UK is experiencing brain drain at the moment.
Which is so funny
talent.
because right now people are coming to Poland and we have the reverse of the brain drain. Like lots of people do want to come here to actually live here, which is very surprising to me. Like it's new.
But I mean, we've got elections coming up soon, right? So we've talked about the European election, but the upcoming elections are going to be super interesting. So we've got the first election, I think, is on the 30th of June, is it? When is the French one again?
French one, I don't have the date in mind right now.
Anastasis, question: do you think that Macron will no longer be in power?
No. He's staying.
His party?
He's staying.
Yeah. Like, if this will happen, these elections, since he is unpopular.
Very unpopular, but like Snor said a bit earlier, this move was planned from a long time. So I think that it is a calculated risk. He may lose some seats, but the biggest thing is that he's trying to weaken the right.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as well. I mean, Macron is not up for election. He's still got 2 years to go, right? This is purely about parliament.
Yeah.
So
I mean, in the
very
parliament.
vicious, right?
I know that in France the president isn't capable of doing what president in the US is.
Well, no, it comes close, man. The president in France has a lot of power. I looked it up once.
Yeah.
He or she has a tremendous amount of power, not only on foreign policy but also internally. So in 2 years' time, Macron's time is up, and that'll be he can't run again, can he?
No, he cannot run again. You cannot run more than two consecutively.
Yeah. He'd have to sit out, man. So we don't know what's going to happen in 2 years, right? But this parliamentary election, it's on the 30th, by the way, this month. So 15 days from now, right? That'll be super interesting. And then you've got a second round on the 7th of July, right? And then in between, there's the UK election, which is, which is just as dramatic, almost just as dramatic as the French one, I must say.
Yep.
Nigel Farage looking to become the leader of the opposition, which is going to be hilarious, seeing that happen.
Oh, that would be funny. They're very funny.
So we've got a few a month and a half of really really weird stuff, and then suddenly it's all over, and then we have the Olympics, right? And then it's back to school basically, Then it's Biden versus Trump all the way. So we've got such a busy time coming up, man.
Definitely, this will be very interesting to observe. Like, I'm very curious what will happen. Definitely, I can see that some parties are acting like their ass is on fire.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, Les Républicains, I think it was, right?
Yes.
They were the ones I was referring to earlier, when I was saying, that they had they had massive internal fighting. I mean, I think even the president locked up in the office, and to make sure that he wasn't deposed, I think to work together with Front National.
Yeah.
So oh
yeah,
gosh, man.
it is a gamble. It's a bit of a gamble right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully it pays off, because if it does, that would be absolutely massive if it does.
Yeah. This is gonna be one to watch. Anyway, I think it's about time, isn't it?
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
So everybody,
good
welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Not welcome. I already welcomed you. And we will be in Discord. So, Snort probably not. I will be on discussion, and Sis will be on discussion. We will see. And yeah, thank you for tuning in whenever you're listening to on live or afterwards. And see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.